What's going on, everybody? Tucker Bagley alongside Eliot Shorr-Parks, live from the Linc. And Eliot, I feel like the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks we've done this. We haven't really felt great. Maybe outside of the Cowboys game, or maybe we were a little
Mhm.
overconfident. This is the first halftime show where I feel like we can finally just breathe, a sigh of relief, can finally relax, can finally just talk about the Eagles did what they were supposed to do, right? Like we can talk about the Raiders being an inferior opponent, about them not necessarily being on the same level as the Eagles' other opponents in recent weeks, but give the Eagles credit for the first time in a while. They're playing an inferior opponent, and they made them look inferior.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a long time that the Eagles have gotten exactly what they needed, right? They haven't got a win in a few weeks. They haven't played well in a few weeks. And I know it's the Raiders. They're 2-11. They don't have anything to play for. It's cold out there, but they're doing what they're supposed to do. And it's been a long time since Eagles have done what they're supposed to do. Up 17-0. The offense is clicking. The defense is dominating. Really a ton of positives from that first half. But I think overall, before we get into some of the specifics, in the first half, the real thing is they showed up today. Go right down the field, score on the opening touchdown. Defense gets a fourth down stop on their first time out on the field. Offense doesn't convert. That one really, could be 21-0 with that Goddard drop, but they've moved the ball well. I think the way they're doing it can be a formula moving forward. AJ Brown, I don't believe has a target. That's not something you want every week. But what you're seeing is they're playing like Eagle style of football. They're running the ball up the middle, running it, all over. But they are running the ball. They're taking shots down the sideline. I think Jalen's been really good in the first half. In a windy condition, he's thrown the ball down the field with accuracy. They've converted in the red zone. They've gotten off the field on defense. Yeah, I mean, this is like what we're watching is the formula for how they continue to win the rest of the season.
Yeah, you look at the targets and the way they're spread out. Dallas Goddard has four, Barkley three, Devontae Smith has two, including that 44-yard catch that really
Yep.
set up their second drive. And then Tank Bigsby has a target that was a little off. That was a check down that he was unable to catch. So yeah, it's been a lot of underneath stuff. And I thought really the first drive encapsulated what we wanted to see from the Eagles against a team like the Raiders. Like it's not fancy. I think the play design has been better and maybe a little bit more creative, but they're not doing anything insane. They're not taking deep shots outside of that shot to Devontae Smith that they pulled in. I mean, they're dominating at the line of scrimmage. And Saquon Barkley's only averaging 2.3 yards per carry, but I mean, we talked about it in the pregame show, right? They load the box the Raiders do, and the Eagles are still making some progress. And I think the biggest thing for me has been Jalen Hurts running the ball on design runs and keeping it on these
Yeah,
zone reads.
there's definitely been more of that, which is encouraging to see. I will say, like for all of the Jalen running the ball discussion we've had, it is noteworthy and impressive how smart he is with the football. There were times in the first half where he was starting to run it, and it looked like there was potential for him to get hit there. He took a big hit early in the first half, early in the first quarter, I should say, on a run up the middle. But like he's very smart about when he runs the ball and when he is running cautiously because he can sense that there's a chance he gets hit. So they're definitely trying to get him more involved in the design run game. I think it's been good. Had a real chance there in the second quarter where I thought, he had one-on-one, kind of does like little high step thing to try to get the guy to miss. Doesn't do it, but that was a good design run. You like his chances often to kind of make that guy miss. He is pretty elusive in the open field. But yeah, I think he's ran the ball well overall. Saquon Barkley, you talked about it, 15 carries for 34 yards. The type of outcome where I think if you didn't know the score, you would sit there and go, their running game has not been helpful. But just eye test, it feels like they've been pretty successful running the ball. They've had a few for negative yards, which has obviously hurt his total. But I think he's running hard. I think he's trying to run through people. Over the past few weeks, there's been some discussion about Saquon not be maybe fighting for extra yardage. I think he definitely has today. Tank Bigsby had his one carry up the middle. A huge hole opens up for him, but he makes the most of it. Gets 7 yards. He's running the ball hard. So yeah, numbers aside, it does feel like the running game has been good today. And for what it's worth, the running game was good last week. I know they didn't win, right? And they didn't score a ton of points, but I thought they showed progress in the running game. Doing the Milata show in the Players Lounge earlier this week, they both said, oh, when Cam Jurgens was on for the Players Lounge, they both said that they felt they had figured some things out in the running game internally where they felt good about it. And again, the numbers are not there today for sure, but I think the eye test of them being able to control the clock, use the running game to help the offense has been there.
Yeah, I mean they've definitely been ahead of the sticks, right? I think they're 4 for 6 on third down so far, and that's something that's really plagued this team. They've been a pretty bad offense
And
on
they've been
third
able to get
down.
into tempo because of that. Like there's been
Yeah,
times where because they're getting early, positive yards on first down, they've been able to get to tempo.
it just feels like they're in rhythm for the first time in a really long time, that they're moving the ball and things are making sense on offense. And to kind of turn our eyes to the defense, I think the one thing we have to talk about is Brandon Graham getting 2 sacks
Yeah.
in the first half. I mean, all this week I was kind of thinking like we haven't seen much of BG. Not that you were expecting huge on-field contributions, but he lined up at defensive tackle a lot last week with them undermanned there. But he gets the sack that ends up being negated because Cooper DeJean gets that unnecessary roughness penalty. That was a personal foul,
Well, the
so it
sack
sticks on
actually
the stat
counts.
sheet.
Yeah,
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 so it
exactly.
stays there. It's just didn't really impact the game all that much. But then he gets that second sack later in the second quarter, and all of a sudden he looks like Brandon Graham again.
Yeah, I think the encouraging part is where he's doing it from too. I mean, he's doing it from the defensive tackle spot. I didn't pick up on it on Hard Knocks. I probably should have. But if you notice in Hard Knocks this week, he was in the meeting room with the defensive tackles, right? Not was not in there with the edges. So I think that's something he's done it throughout his career in like the NASCAR package they used to call it. Like he is someone that they are comfortable putting inside, but it feels like he's doing more and more of it with Jalen Carter out and obviously dominating today. I mean the Raiders don't have a good interior offensive line. You're seeing that. Like BG's getting a ton of push. They've not had success running the ball. But it's a big thing for this defensive line moving forward because one of the questions was, how are you going to get all these guys on the field? Jalen Phillips, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. Just not a ton of snaps there for Brandon Graham. Jahad Campbell, I don't remember seeing him on the field. He might have gotten out there one or two times. But yeah, if Brandon's going to be able to be a productive player from the interior, it's a game changer for the defensive line in terms of how they can use all their best players, and especially on obvious passing downs. Now, Vic Fangio said earlier in the week he's playing running downs as well. I'd have to go and look and see who's out there for the running plays so far. But the fact that they feel comfortable in him out there as an either or situation where it's running or passing is big for the defensive line. And you're seeing like the domination they're getting up the middle is clearly impacting Kenny Pickett. He's moved around a little bit, made a few plays. I thought he had, some passes dropped on him, but I think they've done a really good job of getting to him.
Yeah, just to clean a couple things up. BG's played 5 snaps, all of them at defensive tackle, all of them
Okay,
pass
there we go.
rushing snaps. And Jahan Campbell's played 3 snaps today, but obviously hasn't made any kind of impact. So as we turn ahead to the second half, I mean, kind of feels like a game the Eagles have in hand. Just don't screw it up. I mean, is that kind of the
Yeah, you
strategy
mentioned
here?
the last time we felt this good at halftime. It was that Dallas game when they were up. I think it was 21-7 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, but they were up 21-0 in the game. Obviously, the Raiders in Philadelphia in the cold on a West Coast trip are not Dallas at home. So I think from this point, it's kind of a tough spot for the Eagles because really only bad can happen. Like they played so well in the first half. I think from here on out, it's mostly just about killing the rest of the game off, holding on to the win. I don't think it's a style point second half. I think there's already been enough encouraging stuff out there. So we'll see. Are they able to win the second half? I'm sure that's what they're saying in the locker room right now. You want to win the second half, even if it's 3-0. The defense is playing for a shutout. But yeah, with the wind, with it getting colder as the day goes on and the game goes on, I think at this point it's just about seeing it out. And if you win this one, you end the losing streak. Washington next week, a very winnable game. Like they have some real chance to build some momentum here, which felt like it was going to be really hard to do coming off those losses.
Yeah, certainly. Just, finish out the win, stay healthy, and kind of have those good vibes. Maybe the bunny comes back in the locker room after
Exactly,
this
yes.
game and rejoins this team. So that'll do it for me. That'll do it for Eliot. Eliot and James will be back as soon as the game is over to react to hopefully a second half that felt just as easy as this first half. But that'll do us for us at halftime. He's Eliot. I'm Tucker. We'll talk to you guys